Saber Interactive's Gamasutra World War Z has surpassed 1 million sales in its first week on shelves. The co-op title launched on April 16 for PlayStation 4, Xbox, and Windows PC, and notably skipped Steam in favor of Epic Games Store exclusivity. Speaking to VentureBeat, studio co-founder Matthew Clark explained the game did better than expected outside of the US, and has so far managed to attract 70,000 concurrent players overall the US, and you have been equally strong in sales. We have had 70,000 people playing at once across all platforms, with very similar distribution among PC, Epic Games Store, PS4 and Xbox, commented Clark. What surprises us is the fact that sales outside of the US on the Epic Store have been so strong, with the US being only 1/4 of sales. Larian Studios' Divinity Originals in 2 has been called one of the best role-playing games of its time, and at the 2019 Game Developers Conference Larian chief Swinvink will show you how it was made. His DD 2019 design track talk on the making of Divinity Originals in 2 will take you through all the things that were planned to make Divinity Originals in 2 a better game than Larian's 2014 release Divinity Originals in, and how it actually happened. Vink is a strong believer in the power of iteration, and Originals in 2 is a game where his team applied iteration at every level. With varying levels of success, the team learned a lot about how to design and organize for iteration, and the top will focus on these lessons. Also, expect plenty of examples of both success and failure to help guide you in your own work. Further details on this talk and many more are available now on THEGDC 2019 session scheduler. There you can begin to lay out your GD 2019, which takes place March 18th through the 22 at the newly renovated Moscow Center in San Francisco. Bring your team to GD, register a group of 10 or more and save 10% on conference passes. Learn more. For more details on THEGDC 2019 visit the show's official website, or subscribe to regular updates via Facebook, Twitter, or Gamasutra and GD are sibling organizations under parent company Informa. The European Commission is investigating Valve and 5 other major PC game publishers for allegedly breaching new competition rules. The group is concerned that Valve, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Focus Home, Koch Media, and ZeniMax have all treated consumers unfairly by geo-blocking games to prevent cross-border sales from other EU countries. While the fact 6 major companies are under investigation is notable news in itself, if the Commission eventually finds sufficient evidence of infringement, it could fine offending parties up to 10% of their annual worldwide turnover. As it stands, the Commission claims each company agreed to use region-specific activation keys to deny EU consumers the benefits of the digital single market, which lets them shop around EU member states to find the most attractive offer. The group's preliminary view is that all 6 entered into bilateral agreements to prevent consumers from purchasing and using PC video games anywhere but their country of residence, thereby breaching new antitrust rules. In a true digital single market, European consumers should have the right to buy and play video games of their choice, regardless of where they live in the EU, commented Commissioner Margaret Vestager, who's in charge of competition policy. Consumers should not be prevented from shopping around between member states to find the best available deal. Now, that the Commission has informed each company about its concerns with a statement of objections. All 6 will have a chance to examine the case, reply in writing, and request an oral hearing to present a defense. There's no legal deadline for the Commission to complete its investigations, so the process could last some time. But it's a situation that's well worth keeping an eye on. Also check out my posts on programming, tech art, and biz dev. I worked on Sausage Sports Club for 3 years and learned an insane amount in the process. I was incredibly lucky to be surrounded by experienced and generous game makers in that time, who were willing to give feedback, advice, and help push me and my game forward every step of the way. I know few people have that privilege, so this post is to lower the ladder a bit, and hopefully make making games a little bit easier. Here are the topics I cover in this post. Every design decision made along the way was based on a few design pillars I set at the start of the project. It's not necessary to do this, but defining pillars is useful in deciding what game you are trying to make and in giving some semblance of objectivity to making design decisions. When faced with any question in designing your game, you can always check whether they support these pillars. My design pillars for Sausage Sports Club were: one aspect of the game's UI design I am conflicted on is the player select menu. Many people playing for the first time notice and comment that it resembles the Super Smash Bros. Player select. I was pretty annoyed by this, because getting to that design was the result of solving small problems over many iterations. I spent a lot of time making changes to try and differentiate it more, but most of those changes added complexity and made the menu harder to use. Early versions of this menu front-loaded the customization process, so players had to select their character, skin, team, and head one step at a time through a small window, where you could only see one option at a time. With 14 characters, 3 to 4 skins per character, 8 team options, and 60 heads. This was a long, burdensome process that was intimidating for new players and boring for decisive players. It became clear I needed to focus on reducing how much information new players needed to see before getting started, which meant fewer required choices and that getting through this menu should take as few clicks as possible. Screen space is limited and showing the same information multiple times wastes it. Sausage Sports Club has a fairly large pool of characters to choose from, so it makes more sense to show all of them at once instead of forcing each player to cycle through them one at a time. I show a grid of all available characters in the center of the screen, and each player's individual information in widgets along the bottom of the screen, using a paradigm of cursors as each player's avatar, and the tokens as each player's selection, has a lot of benefits. The most important of this is that it helps smooth the flow of getting into the game by allowing advanced players to help get newbies started. Before this change, when families with younger kids played, parents would often have to take their kids' controller to help, and I wanted to avoid that condescending break in game flow. Having a cursor that's free to move around the screen is also inherently more fun than locking your selection to a widget. It gives players room to play, because they can steal from each other, change each other's selections, and even hide tokens. It makes adding and managing bots easy since everyone can help pick characters for bots. It also establishes an interaction language that can be used in other parts of the game, like the team select menu, which happens just before a match starts, unless players drop their token onto different team slices. Starting plays off with tokens in hand makes it so someone can play after only hitting one button to select their character, and if they are overwhelmed and another player wants to help them, they do not need to do anything, or even pass their controller. If you cannot find your token, that's fine too. The cancel button will retrieve it, even if another player is holding it. Hiding advanced, optional customization and options behind small, relatively hidden buttons keeps them from distracting overwhelmed players without adding the extra complexity of a new menu. In Sausage Sports Club, players have advanced options like skins and player names that are not needed to play.